What's up guys, Max here, and we're going to be looking at the buffed up, possibly, it's not live yet, but it's part of the CCP Axis, Iceman. So there's a possibility that we're going to be able to get this Iceman in its way that you're going to be seeing here in this video. Now, a couple of changes that are very noticeable. Let's actually go into his abilities and just break them down really quick. So his awaken ability signature levels and what Iceman, how his cold snap actually energy damage kind of scales with each 20 levels that you get him. That's staying exactly the same. There's no changes on that. So that you could go out and just play Iceman without his awaken ability, and you're gonna get all the benefits of like his actual buff. But if you wanted to get that extra damage as soon as the fight starts, then you want to get him as high as possible, because as you can see, just to cover it really quick, he starts with a cold snap active, dealing 8,208 damage over 12 seconds. So it's a fairly quick damage that he applies to your opponent, especially if you're going to be using this for Battlegrounds, right? So we're looking at a rank 4, by the way, and the reason why we're doing this is because I am considering a rank 4, meaning if this buff goes live the way it is, he's gonna be a rank 4 in my account. I love the fact of some of these numbers. I think it's a nice tweak to this Iceman champion compared to where he was at. It's just what he needed just to improve his attack when it comes to how Iceman performs, right? Okay, so one of the biggest changes right now, it's going to be his immunity. So Iceman is currently immune to incinerate, bleeds, and poison. Okay, now he's going to be gaining Noble Flames, which is what you can see there. Cold Snap and Frostbite is going to be added. So first champion to have fully immune to Noble Flames, which is freaking awesome. So definitely worth bringing in. Nobody's putting in Human Torch in defense, but sometimes a trap gets placed where you're just like, damn. So if you kind of have Iceman in your deck, he can counter a couple of things, and he's going to be worth having in your deck for sure, if that situation applies, and I'm talking Battlegrounds here. Now, Ice Armor. The description, everything stayed the same. So when his ice armor, he gets this ice armor, and when it breaks, if you got hit and the damage was exceeding 500, actually here, let's just read the bullet point. It says, if Iceman would lose more than 5% of his max health from a single source, his ice armor protects him and blows from that blow, reducing the health loss to only 5%, and the ice armor is removed. Now, everything stayed exactly the same. Ice armor reforms in 15 seconds. But there was one little change that I noticed, and that is in the bullet point number 1. So the armor rating 733 stayed the same, but Kabam added this part to the ice armor feature. Ice armor counts as an armor up effect. So now if you need a certain armor, like if you need a champion to have armor to counter certain champions, then now you have Iceman with a armor up. Okay, so I didn't notice. I kind of looked at his old description and nowhere did it say that it counted as an armor up, but now either they're more detailed in the description when it comes to Iceman, but Iceman armor counts as an armor up effect now. So that's one of the bigger changes that we see here in his ice armor utilities. The other big one, I think this is where you start seeing the damage and get excited, or I got excited for the damage output, is his critical hits on Frostbite, okay? So he used to have 45% chance to basically apply a Frostbite on his critical hits. Now we're looking at a 70% chance to inflict a Frostbite. Now that's a passive. Frostbite passives last for 10 seconds and deal 2,841 energy damage when they expired. So that I believe stayed the same. I don't think we had any changes when it comes to the Frostbite damage output and length of what it lasted. Now, one of the other things that did change is his heavy attack. So his heavy attack still causes, let's just read it, right? It says, this attack causes all Frostbite passives to expire instantly and deal an additional damage of 1,337 energy. That's energy damage each. So for each frostbite you have, you're going to be able to deal as much damage with that heavy. Now that did change. The damage output before read 835. Now we're getting 1,337. Now that's kind of huge, actually. One of the things I noticed when testing them, I won't get into gameplay here, but it was that you can get a lot of frostbites depending on the timing. You can launch a couple of, as you're critting more, you can get those frostbites and stack them up. And if you feel like I just want to detonate them all right here, this is where the KO happens with this detonation. You just go parry heavy or just go counter with a heavy, and the champion you're fighting should be just completely annihilated with this, because the amount of damage that he applies, it's very, very significantly. Now, it doesn't stop there. We have a special attack number 1. Now, the animations and stuff stayed the same, but the damage from the cold snap got improved, and the length, which is what I needed when it comes to this is part of why I feel like Iceman now deserves a rank 4. I had him at rank 3. Now he deserves a rank 4 and some 6 stones to go with it, because, as you know, I need defensive champions in my deck, champions that just counter certain things, and champions that just become annoying. You're just gonna take unavoidable damage, okay? But the special one reads, it inflicts a cold snap debuff, dealing 5,014.5 energy damage over 14 seconds, emphasizing on the time and damage there, because before this, the Iceman was dealing 4,847.35 damage, and it was lasting for only 9 seconds. So we got a buff there, huge buff on the time that it lasted. I wonder how they came up with the 14-second point. But one thing I'd say about the cold snap, I love the fact that it lasts for 14 seconds longer, but I wish one change. I wish that every time you applied a cold snap, it would just either refresh one at a time, not all at a time. Because I noticed that they were dropping like 2 as I was adding cold snap damage. They would all just kind of drop together. And I would love if they would just, if maybe it would be too OP because of the refreshing, but if, as I applied one, just the champ by himself, no synergies or anything, he maybe paused for like a 2 seconds or a 1 second pause every time he added a cold snap. Maybe a 1 second pause would be amazing, just because they still, even though they last 14 seconds, it still drops fairly quickly. It was even worse at 9 seconds, but 14 seconds I can take. Okay, now the special 2, everything damage wise stayed the same, but there's a huge change on the special 2. And that is, if an ice armor was consumed, the final it causes all frostbite's effects to expire instantly. Okay, that wasn't there before. The ice armor consumes the Iceman consumes the ice armor, gains an additional plus 5,014.5 attack rating for the duration of this attack. That was there. We used to see big numbers on the special 2. We've seen that before. But what we haven't seen is big red numbers at the end of special 2. So now all frostbite effects come to an expire instantly. So now there's 2 ways to expire your frostbite. So you can do it by inflicting a special 2, or you can do it by inflicting a heavy. So remember, the heavy frostbite passives to expire instantly and deal an additional damage, or you can do it with the special 2. So there's different ways of KOing the champion now. You can KO him with literally a special 2 or a heavy, which is extremely very beneficial. And the last one, which is special 3, just to point out the differences, we do get a increased buff. So it inflicts a cold snap debuff, dealing 6,686 damage. Now that is covering for 18 seconds, okay? Before it was a 6,184.55 damage, and it was only for 9 seconds. So the damage is longer, it's lasting longer, just taking away when it comes to the cold snap, which is really nice, and overall, guys, by the way, if you shatter your armor or something happen, it reforms your armor immediately when it comes to the special 3. But the changes, the buffs on paper, the way it reads, the way it sits at the moment, it's a reason to be excited for sure, 100%. So let's get to some gameplay to just overall see the experience of Iceman. Ideally, there's going to be different ways. By the way, I'm not running any recoil, anything of this nature right now. Just I'm actually running mastery setups that I would run typically in Battlegrounds. So that is kind of like the setup that I would decided to go with here. But let's just see here how we can launch a special one. There we go. We got cold snap active. Let's see how I'm applying the cold snap, but it's not refreshing. I wish it would have just refreshed. That would have been amazing. We are at 8, but look, 2 of them just fell, and we're going to detonate them all. 35,000 damage on that detonation again, just because of the heavy. But now I want to show you the special 2 detonation. Ooh, I accidentally launched my special 2, but there we go. 30,000 detonation there at the end. I was waiting for that trigger to happen. I think that's what it was. And now let's go back to actually stacking some special ones. But again, look at this health. When it comes to Winter Soldier, he's already at 52% health. Again, it's all about detonating on the right time. So you can launch a couple of special ones. This time I'm going to try to do is launch multiple special ones as I'm getting closer to that special 2. Dude, I would love to just detonate right now because he has 6. But we're going to go for another special one. And let's work our way to special 2. And we detonated 5 at 50,000 damage. Guys, 50,000 damage. My goodness, by the way, I'm just looking at detonations. That's all I'm looking at the moment. And here's the Iceman taking down Winter Soldier, and I basically just apply 7 of them. Oh, I was trying to go for the heavy right now, as man, he's just not cooperating, but he's dead on his own. He's dead on his own. All right, so that took 2 minutes. Okay. Not obviously this is 500,000, close to 500,000 or just over 500,000 in health. My biggest hit was 33,000. Cold snap damage was at 6,000 each for 19 of them. So special attacks 75% damage there. So interesting numbers, right? Okay.